When we were high school kids, I remember at that time, you went out of town for 4 or 5 days, you come back, and then you realize that some robbers have actually cut off the cable that runs from the distribution point outside the house to the electric meters inside by chopping off the outside sheet and rolling out the copper from inside. While this may have seemed like a low-grade robbery and so on, it soon eventually became some sort of a national racket where large gangs would actually end up in discoms and unroll several hundred meters of copper overnight and in transformer yards and so on, and then eventually sell it in the secondary market. That was the level of demand for copper those days that I remember. Fast forward 25 years, and in India, for example, we added more than 1 billion cellular phone users, cellular subscribers, which means all of that copper in the last mile would have actually stopped being in demand. And the same for fiber, for broadband, for example. I think we now have more than 600,000 route kilometers of fiber, which means broadband is now going either on fiber or on 5G, which is wireless. So the net demand for copper from these two industries should have significantly come down. But if you actually go back and check the details of the actual demand for copper, so many other industries are now driving the copper demand far higher than what it used to be. One of them, of course, is renewable energy. The second, of course, is EV. And the third is data centers. Because, for example, for renewable energy, you need all kinds of copper requirements for windings, for transmission. And for EV, you need copper for DC to DC converters, for the inverters, for the motor winding, for the bus bars, for charging circuitry, both inside the car as well as charging infrastructure outside the car. Now, therefore, it is believed that the total demand for copper from EV alone on a one-to-one basis, if you compare an EV car with a traditional car, the amount of copper required for the EV car is about 3 to 4x that of a regular car. So this kind of demand actually puts significant pressure on material costs for EV, both for two-wheelers as well as four-wheelers. And the impact is, of course, even more felt by countries like India, because India is a net importer of copper. In fact, we are a large importer. I think we are the second largest importer of copper in the world, which means that our demand for copper will continue to rise. In fact, 2024 itself, we saw a 34% increase in demand for copper from global market of suppliers. Now, the big suppliers for India is Japan, is Republic of Congo, and Zambia. But then the overall demand for copper continues to rise, not just from India, but globally. And the dependency on copper per se is going to continue to rise. Now, if you go by the study of the International Standards, International Institute of Copper Study, a link of which has been put in my description below for those that are interested, the demand does not appear to drop at all. It continues to rise. Now, therefore, one of the things that would be important to understand is that the foundational level research that is being done by the leading institutes of India towards new design, new material design, composition, composite material invention, design and innovation in those areas is a long way to go. We have a long number of materials to discover because of the impending boom in all these various areas. But if we do not have material and continue to depend on others, not only are we going to be held at ransom at some point from a cost perspective, but also, from supply chain issues and the overall support that you need from the global infrastructure providers to allow these kinds of material to be imported easily will continue to be under stress.